Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So we have been watching as Ripple expands its overall ecosystem rapidly over the last couple of years. And one of the biggest initiatives that everyone did focus on was RLUSD, the stablecoin, right? And if we're thinking about that, we know that Ripple is embracing the stablecoin revolution in a huge way. And what better time to do it than now when stablecoins are front and center around the US government and even globally? I mean, even the UK is now officially ready for stablecoins. And it's because of what it actually does for the underlying, fiat currency that it's tied to. This could be the US dollar, it could be the British pound, it could be the euro. But I am talking about this because of this post here from Panos. So Panos Mech actually put this out, and it's Ripple is going full stablecoins. And this is actually at a recent event, and we could see under payment flows, third-party payment flow, payments are initiated through the Ripple Payments UI or API as either individual or batch transactions. Originators request a quote for the payment from the Ripple network. Once the quote is accepted, the settlement begins and funds are transferred in near real time. We could actually see the breakdown here in terms of like originator, sender, and then Ripple. And also over here, we do have on-ramps, payout in stablecoins without holding digital assets on your balance sheet. Remittances offer payouts in stablecoins in markets with high levels of adoption, including parts of Latin, Africa, and Asia. Payroll offer the optionality for salaries to be paid in stablecoins. Freelancer and supplier payouts, in addition to payouts in over 25 currencies, offer stablecoin payouts to supported custodial venues. And again, this is through Ripple payments. And then also over here, off ramps do more with your stablecoin balances, remittances, and merchant settlement. Accept payments in stablecoins for remittance payouts and merchant settlements. Payroll, leverage your stablecoin balance to pay for your employees and contractors in fiat. Stablecoin trading, off ramps, seamless conversion from stablecoin to fiat for withdrawals or traders. Now, when we are thinking about this, okay, a lot of people are questioning, like, all right, well, how is this even beneficial for XRP? Because we even have down here, well, that's not good for XRP. I don't want to insult people by saying, like, a lot of people that don't understand how the stablecoin is beneficial for XRP is just, dumb. But if we think about what's been happening over the last couple years around crypto, we know that stablecoins have been huge for everything. And I'm talking about the growth of Bitcoin. I'm talking about the growth of even Ethereum. For an example, right? We look at NFTs. Okay, NFTs back in 2021 were so big for Ethereum because Ethereum hit almost $5,000 because of NFTs on Ethereum. But it wasn't just NFTs on Ethereum. It was also meme coins around that time as well, because we do know that meme coins on Ethereum were going crazy because of what happened with Dogecoin. But you might look at this and you might say, well, the Ethereum price was dropping into 2022, even though NFT sales were increasing. The biggest hit around NFT sales was around roughly September into October of 2021. It was shortly after that Ethereum hit about $5,000. But you could see that NFT sales were quickly picking up until the point where Ethereum hit the first peak during roughly like May into June. But it wasn't just NFTs that were also accelerating this. It was also, like I said, meme coins launching on Ethereum. But the thing that I want you guys to understand here is the network effects. NFTs, meme coins, they grow these networks. They grow the overall value of the underlying asset because of the network adoption. It's the same exact thing with like Bitcoin with Tether, right? A lot of people in the past have said like, all right, well, Bitcoin's price is directly tied back to Tether because of, them printing Tether out of nowhere and buying up Bitcoin. That might be true, but that's exactly why we look at what RLUSD could do for XRP. Because, Ripple's not just blindly printing out RLUSD, it's tied back to, certain things, which they do completely break down in their attestations. But when we think about this, all right, Tether has been a big network effect for Bitcoin because a lot of people actually are buying Bitcoin, trading Bitcoin, or using USDT tied back to, Bitcoin. It's all network effects. Everything we see around the space could be tied to network effects. It's the same thing with like Solana with meme coins, right? During 2024, everyone was like, well, Solana's going absolutely parabolic. Why isn't, all of these other assets? Because this is what Solana looked like back in 2024. It was going crazy into like March, going from like the lows of, we'll just go back to like the end of September. So like $21, $22, and it did hit a high of like almost $200. Now this was all because of meme coins, okay? And even if we look at the top Solana ecosystem, we could see that there's still $124 billion tied to this. And a lot of this is meme coins. Like if we scroll down the list, we have Trump here, Bonk. I mean, these are meme coins at the end of the day. And there's a lot here, like even Dog with a Hat, Pudgy Penguins, Melania Coin. Like when we think about the actual ecosystem around, Solana, it is basically a meme coin casino. There's 2,205 coins that are listed on CoinMarketCap. Now, not everything is listed on CoinMarketCap, but we do know that a large portion of the meme coin side of things are tied back to Solana. And even as we do look at Ethereum, right? Ethereum's overall ecosystem market cap is almost $34 billion. Ethereum has a market cap of 170, almost $2 billion. And if we look at all of the ERC20 tokens here, right now, if we scroll down, there's about 3,974. Now, a lot of this, there's also a lot of meme coins here, but there's also a lot of great utility-based projects as well tied back to the ERC20 side of things. But the main thing that I want you guys to understand here is that everyone's wondering what RLUSD could be used for around like the XRP ledger and how it could actually impact XRP in a positive way. Because everyone's saying like, oh, well, this isn't good for XRP because what have we been force-fed for the last couple of years? We've been, told that XRP is going to target all of the money. XRP is going to be utilized to move all of the money in the world. If RLUSD is being adopted around stablecoin initiatives for like safer so cross-border payments or DeFi use cases or institutional DeFi and tokenization use cases, that's going to impact XRP in a very positive way. It's not actually negative for XRP at all. If we look at the XRP ecosystem, there's not a lot of projects tied back to XRP. There's about 27, right? And a lot of these are just useless. It's kind of very similar to like the meme coin side of things. Now, there's a lot of great projects tied to XRP as well, like, for example, like Sologenic. But the ecosystem is still very early on with the XRP ecosystem. But then the main thing here is we look at how the stablecoin could be beneficial for XRP. And I think that the best way to actually look at this is by looking at USDT and Bitcoin. We know that Tether has impacted Bitcoin in a big way through network effects, the same exact way that we could think about like Circle with Ethereum, or other stablecoins that are tied back to, Ethereum as well. And we think about even DeFi for Ethereum because Ethereum is a big driver around the DeFi market. There's like over 1,000 plus protocols tied back to Ethereum, just around like the DeFi market itself. So as we do think about like network effects and we think about what it could do to these underlying assets, anything like a stablecoin that's beneficial for the underlying network. And in this case, we look at the XRP ledger. And although, yes, RLUSD, there's like almost 300 million of it out there. A large portion of that is on Ethereum. And you might say, well, that's only good for Ethereum. There's still about almost 100 million on the XRP ledger, which is still very good. The thing that I'm mainly looking at here is if we continue to see RLUSD being adopted around specific markets and utilized around like the FX market, which is $7.5 trillion per day, then we could see that impact the XRP ledger in terms of demand, which the underlying asset, in this case XRP, which is paid for in gas, XRP would be impacted in a very positive way as well. I think that this is the biggest misconception around how the stablecoin is beneficial for XRP. Everyone thinks that RLUSD and the stablecoins around Ripple are going to kill XRP. I don't know who keeps saying this to people, that like the stablecoin is negative and it's bad and it's bearish. The stablecoin is actually very beneficial for XRP and the XRPL. And the more stablecoins that are actually on the XRP ledger, the more bullish I actually become, because if we have a USD stablecoin on the XRP ledger, which we do, RLUSD, and then we have like Braza Bank launching a Brazilian real stablecoin on the XRP ledger, that's great as well. And then we also look at Societe Generale launching USV stablecoin on the XRP ledger, which is a Euro stablecoin. All of a sudden, you could start to see something becoming a reality, which is the FX market moving on chain. These are all crucial in the evolution of finance. And you can see it happening firsthand around the XRP ledger. Stablecoins are very, very bullish. They're not bearish. They are very bullish because they are pieces of what's to come. I saw a great post from vet_x0 as well, talking a little bit about this. He said pieces coming together on an off-ramp with RLUSD on the XRP ledger, tokenized assets on the XRP ledger, automated market maker pools, lending and borrowing with derivatives and stablecoins offer low cost, fast, and efficient decentralized finance. This is all becoming a reality because of stablecoins. None of this was actually possible by just using something like XRP. I'm sorry to say it, but yeah, it's not the case. Like if we think about, big institutional players wanting to tokenize assets, wanting to have institutional DeFi become a reality, they needed something of stable value. Stablecoins offer that. Stablecoins are such a crucial piece of everything that everyone wants to talk about affecting the price of XRP. Like you watch these videos of people saying like, oh, XRP is going to go to like $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000. Guess what? All of those use cases that they talk about, to make sure that their argument is justified or valid, all of those use cases are only made possible through a stablecoin. Like if we're thinking about real estate transactions or say for so like derivatives, right? Bringing all of that on chain, you need a trusted and compliant and a transparent stablecoin. This is why I still look at Tether, right? I still look at how big these stablecoins are. Like, for an example, Tether still holds $144 billion worth of market cap. The trading volume around, Tether in the last 24 hours is $86.6 billion. How can we think that a stablecoin like RLUSD is not extremely bullish for the XRP ledger and XRP if this is the overall amount of money tied back to Tether, which is not that transparent? They're not, fully compliant. They're actually not fully regulated as well. The US market is still a gray area for Tether. They got delisted off of major exchanges in the EU because of the lack of regulatory, clarity for Tether. So if we're thinking about RLUSD, I don't understand how people think that Ripple going all in on stablecoins and doing everything that they can do to make RLUSD a top 5 stablecoin is bearish for XRP or the XRPL. So at the end of the day, how will RLUSD make XRP extremely valuable? Well, it's through all of the markets and the use cases that can now become a reality on the XRP ledger because of the underlying stablecoin that is tied back to the XRPL. Not to mention that the additional stablecoins that are coming to the XRPL, all of that is liquidity as well. So now you have a much larger pool of liquidity tied back to the ledger, which means those use cases like derivatives and tokenized real estate and all of those huge asset classes that will essentially be tokenized at some point in time, all of those, asset classes, all of those use cases require deep liquidity pools. Now, with all of these stablecoins hitting the ledger, you now have those deep liquidity pools. You now have deep liquidity tied to the ledger, which means those use cases become a reality, which impact the ledger and the network in a huge way. It drives demand. And the underlying asset powering all of this, aka the XRP, digital asset, starts to see significant demand as well because of all of that volume moving through the network. That will severely impact XRP, making it a lot more valuable because of the use. So at the end of the day, no, RLUSD and stablecoins are not going to kill XRP. No, they're not bearish for XRP. They actually reinforce XRP in a huge way. And this is why it makes me 10 times more bullish seeing all of these stablecoin initiatives erupting at the same exact time that RLUSD just launched back in December. And we still have a lot more stablecoin initiatives to be announced on the XRP ledger this year. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.